Guys, it's finally time to talk about the glorious GMMK Pro and what I think of it. I've used one a while ago, like I built one like when it first launched. I was only able to get one. Then I bought another one for me. That way I could build it and use it and customize and all that stuff. And I finally had time when it became available in July for just in-stock purchases, and still in stock, which is good. I'm finally glad that we have a pretty decent option for keyboards available that doesn't break the bank, and that also you can just go ahead and buy and not have to wait 9 months or a year and a half or whatever for a group buy. But before we talk about the GMMK Pro and the nuances and features of it, let's talk about these new glorious Lynx switches because, well, they say extra smooth linear, and I got the lube version, and we're gonna talk about all of that in this video. So I got like 3 boxes of these lubed Lynx switches, and basically the total came out to be about $100, which is quite expensive. $100 for these switches, and you guys will see exactly why paying $100 for these switches is the absolute worst thing that you could possibly do. Reason being, let's take a look at the specs of these glorious Lynx switches. So polycarbonate top, nylon bottom, and palm stem. It's literally the exact same thing as the Duroc L series switch, which is significantly cheaper, and you can also get them lubed from the factory as well, very similar to how these overpriced glorious Lynx switches are. Even though they say extra smooth, the lube version that I got, and then you guys will hear it in the sound test in a second here, but the lube versions that I got, they're not really all that smooth. Like, I don't know what Glorious did. They say that they use G Lube, and I have some switches here that one of them I did indeed, where is it? One of them I did use G Lube on to get like a fair comparison between like hand lubing it yourself. You're gonna do a much better job, but I wanted to see, you know, how close it would resemble to the factory switch, and honestly speaking, it was not even close. Just before we get into the sound test of the glorious Lynx switches, I do want to give a quick shout out to Stupid Bullets Tech. He has a new website where he is going to be selling some keyboard accessories. I can't remember if he sent me this one or the silver one, but he has these Gateron switch openers, which I love quite a bit. These things are super nice. Actually, I'll give you a quick demo of how these things work. You know, let's pop open this Duroc L series. So you just, it's kind of like a nutcracker. It's pretty nice, and you can open switches like so effortlessly with this, like, and so quick. Like, this cuts down like 20 minutes on lubing switches at minimum. So as long as you have, you know, like the 4-pin style switches, they're pretty easy to pull apart, so you don't really have too much to worry about, just because it does look like you're gonna break your switch, but I haven't broken a single switch yet with this thing, and I've opened probably about 200 at this point. So I don't know, this thing is really nice. I like it quite a bit. It's about $30, which is only like $10 more than any other switch opener that you would get, that you have to like physically put the switch in there and then press down with your thumb. It kind of hurts after a while. Like, you do like 90 switches and like your thumb is like, dog, I need a break. Like, what are you doing? This thing, it makes light work of switches. Then he also sent me over like a ton of lube. So he sent me over some XHT BDZ, which is mostly for stabilizers. Like, it's a very thick lube. Some Tribosys 3203, which we definitely did try on one of these glorious switches. So where is it? Right here. This is the one I did with the 3203, so you guys will hear a sound test of that. Obviously the famed Krytox 205, and then the switches, I did lube all the springs with this Krytox 105. Usually I use either spray lube, but now I have some Krytox 105 to give it a go. So I will leave the link to his accessory shop in the description below, and he does also sell like some other stuff, like some new metal keycaps that he's been coming out with like every month. I ordered one of them, so hopefully that shows up pretty soon. And he's only doing like very short lead times for, it's almost like a group buy, but it's more like a pre-order because it comes in like a few months. So that's pretty impressive, I would say. But yeah, check out his stuff, and also check out his YouTube channel as well. He also makes tech videos. Link to both his shop and his YouTube channel in the description below. Not sponsored, but he's just a friend. Like to help him out. He's got some cool stuff. So the first thing that I noticed when I swapped from the factory lubed Lynx switch to the Duroc L series stock switch that was also factory lubed or factory oiled, as Kinetic Labs likes to say, the Duroc L series switch was significantly smoother, like a lot smoother. And just looking at the price difference for glorious Lynx switches, like 36 times 3 is 108 switches for $105 factory lubed for the free shipping as well. That is a ton of money in comparison to 110 switches, 2 switches more for $58 from Kinetic Labs for pre-lubed Duroc L series switches. And you also get a nicer gold-plated spring instead of the silver-plated spring, which to me doesn't really matter that much, but I'm just saying it's a lot less worth it to go with the glorious Lynx switches. And let's be real here, glorious Lynx switches. Lynx starts with an L. Duroc L switches, these are copies and they're not better. Like, you have to hand lube them. So technically you should probably just buy the unlubed versions if you just like the colorway of the switches, because I do think the colors look really good. Like, it looks very cool. But if you buy the unlubed switches, $25 times 3 is $75, which is not that much more expensive than the L series switches, but they're also unlubed, and the L series switches come factory lubed and they do a significantly better job than glorious, and they're not scratchy at all, blah blah blah. The Lynx switches are a ripoff. You're better off buying Duroc L series, and you can get them in transparent and it doesn't mess with your RGB if you're really into the RGB, or if you prefer the look of something like a Gateron Black Ink, you can go with the smoky colorway and get a variety of different spring choices and get them either unlubed or lubed from the factory. So with that being said, the glorious Lynx switches, I pretty much cannot recommend. Like, they're not that good. Factory lubed or stock, they're not very good in my opinion. Now let's talk about something that is not a bad deal or a ripoff. The GMMK Pro. Now this board, even though they heavily market it as like a gasket mount board, like it's not really flexible, and I put like an extra piece of like gasket foam on each of the sides of the keyboard or whatnot, and honestly speaking, it's not really any more flexible at all. Like, this thing really has no flex at all. Now I did put stupid fish foam in between the PCB and the plate to kind of isolate the sound of the switch a little bit more, but even before I did that, it did not really feel any much more flexible than when I didn't have the stupid fish foam in there. So that's kind of the sad part about this, is that it's not really a true gasket mount keyboard. Like, the Portico was probably the best example of a gasket mount keyboard that I have tried personally, where you had a ton of flex when you press down. But to be honest, like, you know, if you're just typing and stuff like that, even on the Portico, I couldn't really tell that, like, you know, it's a gasket mount keyboard. Like, was it slightly softer? Yeah. But it wasn't like super bouncy or anything that was like groundbreakingly different than anything else that I had tried. The sound of the GMMK Pro, stock without modifications, honestly speaking, it's decent at best, but it's not necessarily what I would say is great. So to make the GMMK Pro really good, the true cost of it is going to be a little bit more expensive. So you got the board for $170, then you have stupid fish foam for another $25, I believe. It's either like 20 or 25 bucks. I think it's like 20 bucks, but probably 25 by the time you add shipping in there. So let's just say 25. Adding the extra gaskets doesn't really make that much of a difference, so I wouldn't really recommend it. In fact, it feels a little bit stiffer now too. When you put the polycarbonate plate that I also recommend for the extra, I think it's like 15 or 20 bucks in here to give it a little bit more of a clackier sound. The polycarbonate plate is definitely a must, and it does give you like a really nice RGB glow effect as well, so I really do enjoy that. Polycarbonate plates, honestly, within the past year have easily become my favorite plate option. I just like them a lot, and I think that it gives you a little bit of a richer, clackier sound. Not necessarily super deep, but when you add the foam, it does make the PC plate a little bit deeper. But without the foam in between, the polycarbonate is a little bit louder, a little bit poppier. So if you want the louder, poppier sound, then don't add the stupid fish foam in between the PCB and the plate. Now I do give props to Glorious for making sure that Duroc stabilizers are pretty easily compatible with the polycarbonate plate. I didn't try it on my aluminum plate, but I will try it probably a little bit later on, and we'll see if it works. If you're looking for a deeper sound, I would definitely just stick with the aluminum plate and just add the stupid fish foam. If you go with the polycarbonate plate, it is going to bring up the pitch of the switches, so just keep that in mind depending on the sound profile that you're looking for. Like if you want a deep sounding keyboard or deep sounding GMMK Pro specifically, then I would say go with something like some Gateron black ink switches and go with the aluminum plate and some Stupid Fish foam, and that'd be a pretty solid combo. If you're looking for a clacky switch, I would say go with the Duroc L series, the Stupid Fish foam, as well as that polycarbonate plate. Anywhere between 170 to 230 or 40 bucks, let's just say. I do think that the GMMK Pro as a base keyboard without keycaps and switches is honestly a pretty good deal. We do have some competition coming up in the future, like we see in the Keychron K1, which all honesty, I wasn't overly impressed with the couple sound tests that I've seen. Now we do have some competition coming up in the near future from like the Keychron Q1, which all honesty, I wasn't really impressed with that sound test. And then the Odin Nova 65, which I believe is getting some updates from the video that Bad Seed Tech did a while ago. I think that those two boards might put up a pretty decent fight against the glorious GMMK Pro. Not really the Q1 after the sound test, but the Odin one, I'm hopeful to see what they're gonna do. But that's gonna be it for this video. If you guys enjoy, feel free to drop a like and subscribe if you guys are new to the channel as well. Do you guys think that the GMMK Pro is worth it, or would you consider something else? And honestly speaking, let me know in the comment section below, what other board would you consider over the GMMK Pro? And let me know why and what the price of it is, because I'm really curious. I'm kind of looking for more like premium budget keyboards that are also hot swap and don't take, you know, soldering and all type of crazy stuff like to do to make them really good. But again, I want to thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next video.